Hi, this is Debbie Yogle from the Delaware Valley Hymns Board, and I'm happy to have back with me today Janet Steinwedel, who last week did a great WebEx for our chapter on conscious and compassionate leadership. We have a few follow-up questions that we didn't get to, and Janet is here to answer them for us and share more of her wisdom, knowledge, and experience with us. So welcome, Janet, and let me start with the first question. With all of the demands in the IT space right now, do you have any recommendations on how we could get started with some of the important compassionate and conscious leadership skills that you talked about with us last week?
Yeah, I think one of the barriers is always time. There's always just too many other things to do. And so when it comes to the things that don't come as naturally, it means we have to be intentional and really plan it in. And so some of the conversation that we were talking about on the webinar was around relationship management and how to develop curiosity, cultivation, and collaboration. And we talked about certain red flags that get in the way. And if we are specific to the red flags that we find get in our way, we can bring one of those into our thinking and try to build a habit so that we just take 5 minutes of our day to reflect on it, think about how we want to incorporate it or pay attention to it, and tie it to our values. Whenever we tie something to what's important to us, our values are our drivers, then we have a better chance of getting it done and making a really bold commitment to it.
That's great. That's real important for everyone to be thinking about. And I know myself, we're so busy meeting to meeting every day, but being conscious about that and intentional and building that habit so important.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, what's your number one daily practice that you'd encourage your clients to take on to start to build some of those habits?
I think journaling. And I do say it to everyone, and I encourage whether it's a fancy journal or just a composition book, whatever is easiest for someone, but to actually put pen to paper and make some notes. Stream of consciousness. Try not to overthink it, but just what's going on for you. How are you feeling about your leadership? What would you like to be doing more of? As you think about the last week, what do you think went particularly well? And maybe what didn't go so well? Getting back to that idea of habits. What are the habits that I want to create in my leadership approach? How do I see myself as a leader? How do I think others see me as a leader? But coming back to kind of having integrity with ourselves, understanding our purpose, bringing our unique experiences to the fore, all of that we can do through a practice of journaling and making our lives more conscious so that then we can respond more effectively, not always just be reacting to the situation at hand. So I would say, and I continue to say journaling, but actually putting pen to paper rather than just creating a document online. We're so used to digitalizing everything. So let's think about really how it brings our thinking into a much more robust space when we're actually writing.
So important. And that's for me, when I think about that, I think of sort of that mind body by physically writing, putting some of the physical into that as well. And along those lines, as a leader yourself, what are some of your favorite somatic practices that you like to do regularly? Again, that sort of that mind body connection that I think is so important as well.
Yeah, it is really important. And I think another thing that's easy to forget about is our bodies. We just kind of leave them behind and we're all in our heads all day long. And sometimes that brings about a lot of ruminating and stuckness. And so that connection to mind and body is one of the key things to our health and wellness. And for me, it's really been swimming. I have done yoga, I do meditation, but my best mind-body connection work is really in the pool these days, and paying attention to where the pain is, the strain, the tension, um, and my breath. And is the breath coming easy, or am I feeling constricted in some way? And so that's been a great practice for me. And I'm sure that a lot of people have various practices already, and just bringing that connection to the body and what's happening in the body and where I'm feeling stress, pain, tension. Um, One of the areas for us to pay attention to is our face. Our face shows so much expression, and all of our tension as well. And it's easy to feel the muscles in your neck, in your jaw, in your eye area, eyebrow area, really tense up and be constricted, and to show maybe annoyance, frustration, anger, all of these things that may or may not be what we want to be expressing. So just attention to that additional part of ourselves that gets lost in the day can be really helpful to our own relaxation and for others that are experiencing us.
Yeah, I find I restarted a yoga practice about 2 months ago, and you don't think about your face. And the yoga instructor that I'm working with on YouTube, it's always, you're focused on being in the right position, and she always brings you back to your face, your jaw.
That's
Try to
great.
relax. You're holding that position, and it's
Yeah,
important.
yeah, it really is important, and it reminds you of the whole body, right? You don't get lost in just a part of the body, but bringing the connection from one part of the body to the next, and just finding where the vital energy is in the body. And I think we have to think about the mind-body connection that is within us each individually, but then to the collective as well. Where is the vital energy? Is it constricted? Is it flowing? How is it flowing? Is it flowing in a way we want it to, or not? And again, that intention word that I mentioned early on is helpful to all of us to think about what is it that we want to bring about, whether it is mood, experience, relationship. It does help us to pay attention.
Yes, and I think we bring that, when you're conscious of that, and you think about just something as simple as your facial expression and your breath and how you're feeling, you bring that to your relationship with others and how you lead others and communicate with them and are sensitive to their, where they're coming from. So along those lines, you shared with us so many great tools last week. Could you talk about how we could start taking action related to some of those tools and ways that we could start to use them right now?
Yeah, sure. I think in combination with some of the things we've been talking about too, and I'm just going to share the screen for a moment to bring everybody back to this idea of relationship management. And so the leadership style grid showed up. Are you seeing that, Deb, or are you seeing the other? I know oh, here it comes. So you seeing relationship management, the curiosity, cultivation, and collaboration on the left, and the red flags on the right, with the distance, irrelevance, superiority in the first block. Is that what you're seeing too?
I am. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yep. Great. Thank you. I just wanted to make sure we were on the right slide. And this just really is one way of stepping into the conversation of looking at those red flags, using those in our journaling, paying attention to where we are with a particular relationship and individual. Are we really needing to get more curious, or are we into cultivating this relationship? Are we needing to give it more attention, and what might that look like? Or are we really ready to collaborate and just need to pay more attention to what collaboration looks like for each of us. And again, at the bottom, it shows and talks a little bit more about how to use curiosity cultivation and collaboration, what's involved in the process. So I just wanted to bring that back uh, to our thinking, because it is a model that enables us to be much more effective in so many of our relationships, whether it's up, down, across the organization, in our families, with our leaders. But it brings us back to some intention and some real planning, thoughtfulness, that conscious approach, the compassionate approach. And I think we can always think about a couple of items that are core to each of us. We might refer to them as core wants, because we don't always know how to engage someone that we might not know other than just their work product or our relationship with them in the workplace. And so coming back to some core ideas that enable us to build relationship and be effective in relationship is helpful. And the first one I always think of is security and safety, and that core want to feel safe and be attentive to our survivability, which has been really ramped up through COVID. You know, we really all know, you know, the stats around deaths. I think we're over 450,000 deaths in the US now. You know, we haven't been that attentive to death as an individual and as a collective in a long time. And so I think that one core want is very helpful for our reflection. The second one is about approval and just feeling like we fit in, feeling like we belong, feeling like people like us and want us to be around, like we're held in high esteem. Is another good entry point to allowing people to feel safe and confident. And those first two, security and approval, we can always find connection there with people. And then we all want some level of control. And that could be control over our surroundings, which, you know, today also is restricted. We're many of us working remote, and that brings a whole different kind of approach to our interactions and our dealings with others. It could be control over our kids, our spouse, our dogs. You know, we were talking about that earlier when you get on a webinar and all of a sudden the dogs start barking because the mail has arrived. And, you know, all of these things, you know, we want control over them to some degree. And some people want more control and some don't need quite as much. But an attention to that concern for people and that desire is also very useful. And then the last two sound like they're opposites, and to some extent they are, but it's about the connection piece, wanting oneness, wanting to be connected to others, wanting to feel some intimacy. And I've been surprised how many people have told me that they do feel intimacy over Zoom, which they thought they would never feel, but it is related to the fact that we're in each other's homes. We never were this connected to people in their real space before. So I think that's another opportunity for linkage with understanding and really seeing another person, allowing them to feel accepted in their in a way that's a little more intimate. And then the one that feels opposite of that is separateness. So we want those oneness and we want separateness. The separateness is more about our individuality and feeling like we bring something special, something unique, that in a way we're one of a kind, and we are, with the way we bring our personalities, our style, our needs, our wants, our experiences, where we've lived, different contexts. We bring something that is really quite unique, and being able to see that uniqueness in another person and connect with them around that uniqueness can be a real nice entryway into conversation and developing a relationship that is more than just what are our goals and what are we trying to achieve today.
Great. Janet, it's been a pleasure talking to you again. I'd really like to thank you for your time. And just a couple of reminders to folks: make sure that you like and subscribe to our DVHIMSS YouTube channel, and follow us on LinkedIn at DVHIMSS. Be sure to comment on LinkedIn and YouTube, and check those sites often. We have another Lunch and Learn coming up, sponsored by DVHIMSS on data analytics in April. Thanks again for your time, and have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Janet.
Great being with you. Thank you.